Sean.
Sean, big round of applause.
All right, you guys, I'm going to talk about problems. Big problems, and we're facing a lot of them. This is going to be fast. But I probably don't have to tell you that there's just a lot of crap accumulating in the ocean right now. There's a lot of crap accumulating in the air as well. And so the net result of this is that we're seeing global warming at an unprecedented pace. And we're getting droughts, we're getting wildfires, we're getting extreme weather, and we're getting sea level rise. This ordinarily wouldn't be a problem because you got the rainforest as this amazing buffer that sequesters carbon out of the air, but the problem is we're doing our best to destroy it, and we're doing a really good job. You've also got this curveball now with Ukraine and Russia. These two countries together account for roughly a quarter of the wheat supply, and wheat is a really important grain. It's like number 3 in terms of caloric, what it provides towards the global food supply. And beyond that, not just the crop, they also account for about a quarter of the world's fertilizer, so ammonia and phosphate and all those. So this is a really serious issue in terms of food production, not just with the food stable, but also the ability for other countries to produce food. And what this means is that we're going to face famine. Frankly, there's a lag on this, but it's going to happen fairly soon. We're going to be seeing food shortages. You've also got big pharma. You've got an entire complex that's actually around keeping us mildly sick, frankly, so that they can sell treatments. And specifically, there's a cancer industrial complex around selling these 3. This is good for the Americans in the room. There's insider trading amongst politicians. This is the Speaker of the House in the U.S., Nancy Pelosi. She's basically the top dog in the legislative body, designed to make the rules that allegedly protect its citizens for things against, for example, like financial crimes, which is ironic because she's engaged in insider trading. And if you ask me how I know that, I downloaded the publicly available data set of stock trades that the senators and congresspeople have to publish. They're required by law. And I brought it into Google Sheets and wrote a formula that would check the historic stock prices the day before, the day after, and a week after her stock trades. And does anyone want to take a guess at what Nancy Pelosi's profit, P&L, on her average stock trade? She did 44. I'll blow up the number so you can see it. 7.5 million. If that doesn't make you irate, I don't know what does. So you guys, there's a lot of problems. We can spend a whole hour just digging into these, and I'm not going to do that because we don't have enough time. I have a podcast that does that. But also, it's frustrating, right? It's depressing, and that's not my mission here to get you depressed. I wouldn't mind if you get a little bit angry. Like, I think we all should share a little bit of worthwhile anger, but not leave it at that. Like, to me, anger alone just is like this. It's like shaking your fist at the cloud, it does nothing. But anger, when you channel it, can actually make you motivated and help you solve stuff. And so there's this phrase, how do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time? To me, no problem is unsolvable. I was fortunate in the last year to finally end a 26-year working career, and I'm now able to do whatever I want. And so I've committed myself fully to this initiative called Problemattic. And the idea is we're basically taking the 17 SDGs, which is the UN's framework for the Sustainability Development Goals, and we're categorizing the world's problems so they fit in that. And then people like you guys in the room, like it's designers and developers and copywriters and videographers and SEO experts and social media gurus and all the people that are knowledge workers that have skills they've taken an entire career to develop, we're now executing on solving these problems. And you may roll your eyes and say, Sean, that sounds great, that's a lovely vision, but prove it, that's a very utopian ideal. And if you'll give me just one more minute, I want to introduce you to 3 people and show you that this is in fact happening. So this is Maju Pilsel. She is the force of nature behind the Proyecto Carajá sanctuary, animal sanctuary in Cordoba, Argentina. I met her in 2017. They take in orphaned howler monkeys from the black market pet trade in Argentina and rehabilitate them and release them into the wild. And her family's been doing this for 30 years. They almost died during COVID because their only source of revenue is visitation from tourists, and their only source of labor is free labor from volunteers. And they had to stop both of those things because primates were at risk of COVID. So what we did is we built them a website, a crowdfunding campaign, taught them how to use social media, automated all this stuff, and in a week raised $2,400 to keep them alive. This is the website we created. This is the team that did it in a weekend.
Wow.
And I'd say that was a huge win. This is Julia Fossey. She's with the Esperanza Project in Barcelona. We met them on our event there. They've been going out for 8 years. They feed the homeless on the streets of Barcelona. They've never missed a run in 8 years. They've delivered 80,000 meals to the homeless of Barcelona. They're doing this all, they have 300 active volunteers, doing it all out of a Google Sheet. So when we met them, they did not have a website, they had a Facebook group. We built them this website, we built them this mobile app to streamline things and reduce the admin overhead and make it possible for them to expand their routes. And this is the team that did that in a weekend. Huge win, right? Last one, this is Kim Farr, Bali, Indonesia. She is a New Zealander as well. And she arrived there in 2015, and on the back of her motorbike started something. She noticed there's this problem of generational begging, which is mothers, typically victims of domestic abuse, would have to take to the streets, and the only thing they knew how to do was either sell their bodies or have their kids beg on the streets because the kids were cuter and they'd get more donations. But this created a cycle of generational begging because the kids grow up and they become the mothers that then this is how they know how to make an income. So self-funded though, she taught them how to sell crafts and provide a living and raise their kids. And she did this all on her own, on her bike. She did not have a website. We met her the day before our Bali event. So we built them this website and a recurring donations platform. And I'm proud to say that this one, in the first month of operation, netted them $7,000. And because it's a recurring donation model, it, to this day, 2 years later, is producing about $4K a month in revenue. They've used that to subsidize the development of a safe house, which now feeds 100 families. This is the team that did that in a weekend. Wow. So I know I don't have a whole lot of time, but I was going to leave you with this quote: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." You guys, we are doing a hackathon here. I don't know if anyone meets any of those criteria I was talking about, like depending on what your job is, you have a skill. It's something you've likely developed over a lifetime, and there's almost certainly a way that you can put that to use if you're willing to donate half a Saturday towards trying to solve a cause. I encourage you to come scan this code and join us on May 7th for the hackathon. Woo! Any questions? Nope. Yeah, in the back.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you somehow make a very brief connection, non-emotional connection between the first part of your talk and the second?
A non-emotional connection.
Because somehow I felt like the first you were saying a lot of very universal problems that we are facing as
Gotcha,
humanity.
okay. Yeah,
And
yeah.
the second, they were very specific points, so
Yeah.
I'm missing the connection.
Yeah, and it's hard to convey in 5 minutes the whole history of this thing. So basically, this started as a project that was called Charity Makeover, where we began helping existing charities and trying to amplify their effects. We've since morphed it into something that can tackle larger problems, not currently, where there is no nonprofit behind it trying to solve it. And so the idea is that now we've rebranded it as Problematic. It's no longer Charity Makeover, and we're no longer limited to working with charities. We can basically help any cause that we deem worthwhile. Does that explain it?
Yeah. So the big pharma, Nancy Pelosi, and those things are very American problems. Like that is like your problem. If you look at the world, like your use cases are looking at the world as a whole. You're talking about Barcelona, Bali, Indonesia, like around the world. Is there anything you can do to hack them? I'm just, are there larger problems you can like hack on with this hackathon? Like, is there things like politics, the world scenes, like
Yeah.
you back up a little? Is you can address
Yep.
in this, because I'm all in.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah, we didn't get, there's a lot of stuff on this slide. I don't know if people can read it in the back. I'll just read some of them. Caregiver fabricated illness, which is also called Munchausen by proxy. Lobbyist influence, probably an American problem. Access to clean water, pretty universal. Deplatforming and censorship, gender inequality, obesity, fake news. Like, so there's a lot of stuff here, right? And I'm setting the ones that I think are important right now, but the idea is to build this platform open-ended. Will likely turn it into a DAO. And
but a lot of these cost others, right? Like fake news and education. If you get a lot of education to a lot of people, it's a big problem because it requires trillions of dollars, literally, to solve or to even like convey the news that this is a good thing. But that's where you can get rid of a lot of the other ones. Like,
yeah, I guess the answer is I don't know how this will evolve. I do know that like the model works in terms of bringing strangers together and intensely collaborating, sharing skill sets, and then and basically being very focused on like a strategic, this is what we're doing. So I know that works. I think we can aim that cannon at bigger problems now, and so that's where we're headed.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How do you guys choose the projects that you're going to work on, or do you guys have people send you messages, or like how were you aware of the Argentinian like monkey sanctuary? Like how did this come about?
Yeah, so previously it's basically wherever I've traveled, honestly. Like we will do an event in the place we are and we'll ask the locals, we'll seek out worthwhile causes. I have a friend here actually who was a part of a program that I was on called Remote Year, where we traveled around the world. And so that's where we were actually in Cordoba, Argentina, and met them. There's no logic to it at this point. Like I'm seeking to scale it beyond me having to be there, and so that's part of this initiative. Is like if we build the platform right and we make it possible to nominate and upvote and form teams and do all that, like all that mechanics is decentralized, then I'm no longer the bottleneck.
All right.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Okay, next up is Tis. Where are you? There you are.